Hello friends, welcome back to the shop. Today is Sunday, September 9th, and it's rainy and chilly and feeling a lot like fall here in eastern PA. I think it's a tease. I think we will get more heat, but at least today it's quite cool out there. Unfortunately, it's also rainy, so spending most of the weekend indoors, but such is life. A couple of things today before we get into the filters. I wanted to show you this beautiful new pipe. I am very fortunate to now be the proud owner of this Phil Rivera second, but boy, it's a beautiful pipe. And I've been wanting to get one of Phil's pipes for quite a while now, and I saw this one on Instagram and just jumped on it because Phil's been doing a lot of really interesting stuff lately with these artificial ivory Eskimo shaped pipes and things like that, and I love his work, but I wanted a more traditional style pipe by him, and this just really fits the bill beautifully. It is a second, and what he's done with that I think is just incredible. I'm not actually sure if he just left these, so there's inclusions, but it looks like he might have done some carving around them, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this in focus for you. I can't tell from here if you can see that or not, but there's these lines, and if they're natural inclusions, that's even better. There's only a few of them. There's two here and one over there, and they're barely noticeable. They add a great deal of character, and I just really love the pipe. And it's smoking fantastic so far. I'm still in the process of breaking it in, but the first smoke was perfect. And what I am smoking that I let go out is some old Joe Krantz. Cornell and Deal Old Joe Krantz. Been smoking quite a bit of this lately. It's basically Haunted Bookshop with extra red Virginia. Sorry about the dog barking up there. It's a rainy day. They're bored. They can't go outside and play, so they're looking to make their own entertainment. Hopefully my wife will calm her down. But yeah, pipe's performing fantastically. Really loving it. Thank you, Phil. Great job. And link below to Phil's Instagram and YouTube page. Just take a look at his pipes. He does beautiful work, and he'd be very lucky to own one. Okay, so I don't really have a lot of other news and updates. Just kind of been busy lately, and all busy in a good way, you know, taking care of business and such. So all's going quite good. Nice to have a bit of downtime Sunday and enjoy a pipe and some coffee and talk to you guys. This, by the way, I never remember to show this off. This is my Country Squire Radio mug. I love this mug, and I hate the fact that when they make mugs, right-handed people never get to show what's on the mug. It would make a lot more sense to put that on the other side. Okay, I think I brought peace to the dog kingdom, but we shall see. Alright, so back to business. We're doing a review of various filters in this beautiful 7LE pipe that my friend Christian was kind enough to give to me. And it's I always forget to give the numbers on these. 7LE 311 KS, and yeah, beautiful pipe. Love the way this pipe smokes. And you know, if you've seen the previous videos, I went through using the adapter. I went through the Peterson filters, which were really not good. The draw was terrible on them, and there was, you know, very thin tobacco flavor coming through. And last week I started these Dr. Pearl Jr. filters. And my initial impression, which you saw on the video last week, was that these were really remarkable. That, you know, the draw was hardly affected at all, and the flavor was, you know, I thought I was picking up a bit more harshness, but I smoked another bowl with the adapter in, and then I smoked another bowl with a filter, and there really wasn't much of a difference. So I was just being overly sensitive to whatever that harshness was. So these really were looking good, but there's a catch. My friend, the Durham Duke on YouTube, got in touch with me and reminded me of the fact that you have to be careful because not all filters are created equal. And that passageway that the filter goes into does not necessarily hold the filter tightly. And not all filters are created equal. Now the good thing that happened was when I was looking this morning at the filters to pick out the filters I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be using this meerschaum filter by Schutzmarke. And I thought that Christian had given me 2 of each filter when I looked at them quickly. It turns out I only have 1 of these meerschaum filters, but he gave me 3 of the Peterson filters. So I've used 2, but I do have a 3rd Peterson filter here, which is great because what I wanted to do was to check the fit on that. And this, it's not perfect, but it fits better. And I went and I asked Christian to measure these for me, and he was kind enough to do so. And then when I found the Peterson filter, I decided to remeasure them myself. So these are my numbers. Christian's numbers are in an email, and I haven't looked them up this morning. So sorry, Christian. I appreciate the help. But these Peterson filters, and I'm looking at the diameter now, and I'm measuring the diameter right at that plastic insert because that's where it's going to be pushing the cylinder out a little bit, and that's where it's going to be at its widest. And I did measure along the length, and that is where it's at its widest. And the diameter there on the Peterson filter is 0.32 inches, so 0.320 inches. The diameter on the Dr. Pearl filter, right at that plastic cap there on the end, is 0.304 inches. So there's a 0.016 inch difference between the 2 of those. Now that might not sound like a lot, but if you're trying to seal in that tube, that actually is a considerable difference. And what I've done, again at the suggestion of the Durham Duke, is I've taken these and you can draw through them kind of like you would a cigarette, and then you can put your finger over the end and you get a pretty good, basically a vacuum. Now there is a little bit of air coming through, probably the sides of the filter. This cardboard tubing is porous, so I'm getting a little bit, but it's a very, very tight draw when you do that. And likewise, when I do this with the Dr. Pearl, I get, again, just a tiny bit of air coming through, probably through the sides of the cardboard. So that tells me what drawing through the filter feels like. And they feel very similar, both the Peterson and the Dr. Pearl. When I do that with these filters, they feel pretty much the same. When I put them in the pipe, when I put them in the stem, so putting the plastic insert towards my mouth, pushing it in, it's very similar to drawing through the filter alone. When I do that with the Dr. Pearl, push it in, you can hear how much air I'm getting through that. It's not sealing. And the other thing to keep in mind is if I pull this out, so I'm holding it out now, plenty of air moving around there. So unless this is really crammed in there, you're getting basically full flow of air around the outside of the filter. Now, is it going to be crammed in there? Well, to figure that out, we've got to compare this length to the length of the mortise in here, the length of the wide mortise that's going to, well, actually, yeah, the mortise, because we want this to sink down to its mating surface here. So, got just a thin metal rod here. I'm going to put that all the way down to the bottom of the mortise, and I'm going to mark it with my thumbnail. And now I'm going to bring that right here, and you can see, I hope you can see, because I can't see what you're seeing, there is probably more than a quarter inch, probably 3/8 of an inch space beyond the end of this filter. What that means is that this filter would be free to move back and forth when it's in the pipe. And sure, when you're drawing, you're going to probably be drawing it up, but are you going to be drawing it up tight enough to seal? The answer is no. So these Dr. Pearl filters, the reason I liked them was that they weren't doing anything. They were just sitting in the airway but allowing me to draw smoke around it. They were essentially doing the same thing that the adapter was doing. Now, to prove that to myself, what I've done is, if you remember the differences there, we've got 0.320 for the Peterson and 0.304 for the Dr. Pearl. If we subtract those two numbers, we get 0.016. I think that's right. 0.016, yes. And it turns out, if you measure a piece of regular typing paper, do people still use typing paper? Paper. Where did my paper go? If you measure this, you get calipers. It's just about 0.004. So that means that if I were to wrap the filter in this one wrap, I would be adding 0.008, two wraps 0.016, which would bring them to the same diameter. So I've done that with the Dr. Pearl filter, and I tried this previously and smoked it as well. So just two wraps of typing paper, printer paper, whatever you want to call it. It's a much more snug fit, goes in there nicely, and now it's very similar to the Peterson filter. It smokes exactly like the Peterson filter when I do this paper wrapping. So unfortunately, my initial enthusiasm around the Dr. Pearl filters was really due to the fact that they weren't actually doing very much filtering. And thanks again to the Dorm Duke for pointing this out to me. You know, he had actually taught me this a while back, because I did a 9mm stem for him. He had a pipe that he wanted me to make a new stem for him, and he brought up the fact that, you know, it's really important to have this sized properly, and he insisted on sending me samples of the filters that he used, and I think that's probably where some of these Dr. Pearls came from. But since then, I've always, when people have asked me to do the 9mm conversion, I do ask them to send me the filters that they use, because you can't just, you know, the way I was planning on doing it, and the way that I'm guessing this has been done, is you drill a hole that's slightly undersized using a letter drill, and then you go in with a 9mm reamer, and you can get exactly 9mm. But the filters aren't exactly 9mm. And it turns out, for the filters that the Dorm Duke used, the best option was to just use the letter drill, and it worked perfectly. It held them tightly. I don't know if that's generally true, but at least for his, it worked out that way. I've had some where I did use the reamer, and I've had some where I've done a bit of boring to get the filter to just fit so that it doesn't fall back out again, like I showed you earlier. So it's an important point for you guys that are using filters. You should check on this. You should do the test that I just showed you, where you hold your finger over the end, and keep in mind that you may have space for the filter to move around in here, so jamming it up against the back is kind of cheating. See how tight it is, and maybe try a wrap of paper around it, see if that makes a difference. Or if you don't want to do that, try different filters. Also, Christian told me that he actually takes a knife and kind of picks out around the edge of the end here, just to kind of flare it out some, and that helps him get a better fit. So that's another option that you could try. Alright, so enough of that. I've let my pipe go out, but I will relight this later, because I'm breaking in the new pipe, but boy, I'm happy with that. And boy, I'm happy with this too. I'm just a happy piper right now. Okay, so on to the meerschaum filters. So with the meerschaum, this is Natur meerschaum. I'm assuming that this is a German company, and the name of the company is almost certainly German, which is Schutzmarke. Or Schutzmarke. It has a white elephant. Oh, geez, I'm not showing you that, am I? It has a white elephant on it, which hopefully you'll be able to see. And above it are the words Natur meerschaum, and below Schutzmarke. So these are the white elephant meerschaum filters, as they're commonly known. I don't see a difference between the two ends, so I'm guessing it doesn't matter which way I put this in. I'm going to put it in so that the elephant's facing me, because that seems better than the elephant facing away from me. I don't want the... you fill in the joke yourself. So the elephant's facing me. Oh, before I do that, yeah, I can completely seal this off. And there is some... No, that's sealing fairly good. You know, just to be certain, I'm gonna go ahead and... I just don't want this to be a factor in the test, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it and see how that... Yeah, see, I can't get... I had a smaller piece of paper here. I can't get the double wrap to go in. Okay, this is just a single wrap of paper. Yeah, that's making a really good seal. So I have done a single wrap of typing paper around this to improve the seal. And now we will assemble a pipe. Yeah, so it's got a restricted draw, which is to be expected. Yeah, so unfortunately we only have the one meerschaum filter for this experiment. I'll smoke 2 bowls through it. If I notice something dramatically different from the Peterson or the Dr. Pearls, I will try to get more of these. I've already, I'm sure that Christian has offered several times to send me filters, and I really appreciate the support he's given me in all this. And I've had other people, Grandpa Cavendish the other day offered to send a few, so I know I'll be able to get 1 or 2 more meerschaum filters if I need them, but I want to get through the first 2 bowls first and see if it's even worthwhile going on. I'm hoping to be enlightened. I really am. Okay, so still could be luxury navy flake. You know the drill by now. I apologize, this is becoming a very long video, but I did need to talk about that issue at the beginning with the diameter of the filters. I thought it was well worth telling you that, because if you are a filter user, you want to make sure your filters are actually filtering. Alrighty. Contact. I've always been curious about that phrase. It's what pilots would say before starting the plane engine on old planes, and I'm guessing that contact referred to the electrical contacts. It's one of those things that sort of has become part of our culture with no real thing to attach it to. Kind of like, I've always been fascinated by the fact that if a guy takes a towel and drapes it over his arm and stands like this, he immediately becomes a waiter. You know, that's just the impression that we have. Someone standing there with the towel over his arm is a waiter. But have any of you ever seen a waiter standing with a towel over his arm? It's just, we have these odd sort of cultural memories that we don't really know why we have them sometimes. It's interesting. Boy, didn't think I'd be going there today. Okay, let me get this lid. So the draw is restricted. I am getting enough smoke to keep the pipe lit. Not enough draw to keep the pipe lit. And consistent with the other filters, I'm not getting any flavor this time, so this just tastes like the tobacco. But just less of it. And I can understand where someone might smoke this and say, boy, this is smoother, drier, milder, all that kind of stuff. But to me, it's half the flavor. So is there a blend out there that I can't smoke, but if I cut the flavor in half, I'd be able to enjoy it? That would be the value of a filter for me. But I have to say, if such a blend exists, I don't want to smoke it. I mean, it's not like I'm dying for variety in my pipe smoking life. I can, I've got plenty of blends to choose from. So why go to the trouble? And it is trouble to, put the filter in, make sure it fits properly, deal with the diminished draw, to smoke something that I wouldn't want to smoke unless I did that, when I've got things off the shelf that I can just pack in the pipe and go. I don't know. It may just come down to the old dog, new tricks adage, and maybe I'm just too old a dog to appreciate it. But it seems to me that there's really nothing magical about the meerschaum. It's just less of everything. All right, I will spend some time with this, smoke the full bowl. Later today I'll have another bowl through the same filter, and that's going to be the end of the meerschaum, because that's the only one I have. I'll look over my notes and maybe go back and revisit one of the other ones for whatever reason, but pretty much this time next week we should be tying up the filter challenge. And unfortunately, you got a preview of where I think I'm going to go. But I'm hoping I'm going to be able to give some balanced opinions and impressions of the filters, and maybe help provide some information for people that don't know whether they want to try them or not, that will help them try them in a way that will answer the question for them, and also maybe help some of the folks that enjoy the filters to understand why they're enjoying them, and maybe how to get better enjoyment, for example, making sure that they fit properly. So I'm by no means thinking that next week I'm going to come out and damn all filters and convert a bunch of people that are using filters to not, because that's not at all my intention. I just want to provide information, experience it for myself, and then share that experience with you. But in the end, you all have to make up your own mind, and you know that. So I'll look forward to next week when we will be able to talk more about the meerschaum filter and then summarize the whole experience and hopefully give you some takeaways that you can use down the road. So with that, friends, I'm going to call this video to a close. I thank you all for watching. I thank all my subscribers. I've gotten a burst of new subscribers lately, and I greatly appreciate that. Thanks for your likes and comments. They mean the world to me. And until we talk again, I will look forward to speaking to you all again very soon. Goodbye now.